children? They said, well, how you want to stop it? Here's how you do it. Here's why you don't know where you're from. Blumenbach said, what you do, as soon as a boatload arrives, take the babies out the mama's arms. Send the parents to a distant plantation and work them to death and raise the children to believe they came from a jungle. They won't know the difference.
What was going to be his whipping stick? He said, you provoke me to jealousy. Well, following other gods, and I'm going to provoke you to jealousy. To put you under a people that was not going to give regard for you. To put you under a people that was going to take you to a land with language that you didn't understand. That was going to dominate you. And what nation did he send first? He sent Assyria. Then he sent Babylon. Then he sent Persia. Then he sent the Grecian. Then he sent the Romans all the way to America. But you can really first look at this even in the book of Judges. Every time they would break the covenant, he would send another nation in. And then they would cry for deliverance. And then he would redeem them. So this is why we was taken to America. This is why we was taken to the four corners of the earth and that we was in captivity. Even our Messiah, Yahushua, who the world known as Jesus, prophesied a captivity outside all the other ones, outside of Assyria, outside of Babylon, outside of Greek, outside of Roman. He said there shall be a nation that's going to come in and lead you into captivity into all nations. Then now we got to look in history after he spoke that what nation was led into captivity in the four corners of the earth. And you have to look at the transatlantic slave trade. See, among these nations, you will have no rest. You will be getting killed from the time that you step foot on this nation. First of all, how you was going to get there. And the scripture says you was going to get there through ships. But even on those ships, from those ships, you was getting killed and thrown overboard. And then all the way to America now, where you're getting killed in the streets, you're getting beat, you're getting burned, you've been lynched, you've been castrated. He said among these nations, the psychological curses that'll be upon you, you will have no ease at all. Now name me a 15-year period since we have been here over 400 years that we have had ease. Through every time period, we have been persecuted. Every time period, we have been killed. Even up to the day in 2020, we still have to declare Black Lives Matter because the same thing that was going on when we first got here is still going on now. We still have chains upon us, letting us know that this is the consequences from an ancient oath that we made, that we're dealing with now. Our life shall hang in doubt of thee. From the time that we have got here, our life was hanging in doubt to the day when you get pulled over by the police. Your life is hanging in doubt. You don't know whether to reach for your license, whether to reach for your registration, because everything that we have tried to do to comply, we have been killed for. Eric Garner, Trayvon Martin, George Floyd, all these different aspects of things that we have been tried to do, our life will hang in doubt, not even just with oppressors, but even with ourselves and our own neighborhoods, walking through our own neighborhoods. What? Because of the curses, like the scriptures say, oppression makes a wise man mad. It was a point in time throughout our history that we was wise people, but oppression has made us killers of our brothers, murderers of our sisters, where our life hang in doubt of us even in our own neighborhoods. We are getting international terrorism through other nations, and then domestic terrorism within our own neighborhoods. The scriptures is speaking for itself. Our life is hanging in doubt of us. See, the scripture said that we shall betroth a wife and another man shall lay. Can you imagine marrying a woman and a slave owner owns her, that treats her like his property? So even on your wedding night, he comes in and takes his property, have sex and rape her like the scripture said, and you will have no might or no power in your hand to do it. He put his imprint on her. But that was spoken of in ancient times, that this would happen, that the Most High was just saying, if you just keep my covenant, I will keep you from these things. He's saying that you will plant a vineyard and you would not gather the grapes. That was foreign to our people. Because every vineyard in ancient times that we planted, we gathered the grapes. It was for our people. But to Plant a vineyard, cotton, tobacco, sugarcane, all these things were big businesses, and the wealth of America was built off this thing. We received nothing for it. So this is what the scripture was explaining. These are the curses that we ain't just pulling out of nowhere. This stuff is real that you can see, that's supposed to get your attention and ask, why is these things happening? And it'll return you to the same book that you've been rejecting. Your identity, even the curses of your identity. The scripture says that you would discontinue from your heritage. What's in your heritage? Your language, your customs, your culture, all these things that said you would discontinue from. You'll be a people wondering who you are, where your identity and nationality is changing every 2 years. First you black, then you colored, then you Afro-American, then you African-American. What's going to be our next nationality in the next years? But the scriptures prophesied that we wouldn't know that, because we broke an oath that was passed down to our lineages. Our sons and our daughters was given to another people. And we see what happened in history. All we got to do is look in history and see that the Bible is revealing itself. The scriptures is revealing what happened. That we was put on auction blocks. That children that we birthed were sent to other nations for us to never to see them again. Was given to another people. All the way to the day it's still happening, where our sons is being given to another people, is being imprisoned, and all these things are happening just as the book proclaimed that it would happen. Are these not the curses of what Deuteronomy 28 and what the scripture spoke of? Are we not seeing this in reality all the way up to 2020? How can you deny what you're reading? But the scripture said that we'll have eyes that we wouldn't see and ears that we wouldn't hear, that it'll be right in your face and you still can't see it. It'll be the words be put to your ear and you still won't have no resolve in it. Look how specific the scriptures are. It said, I will send faintness of heart and the sound of a shaking leaf. Do you know that that's speaking of our path to freedom? That's speaking of the Underground Railroad, where you would be asleep and a sound of look how specific the scripture is saying, that the sound of a shaking leaf will have you to tremble when nothing is pursuing you. What is happening? A fox or something will come out the woods. We sitting there trying to get the freedom, waiting, hiding out, and then it'll be faintness in our heart when these things happen. Look how specific these curses is to let the people of the covenant know that you broke a covenant and you have an Elohim that's pursuing you. This is your route back to the ancient path, to your ancient God, of people that didn't know who their God was, didn't know who their culture was, didn't know who their religion was. Another curse is that you would follow gods that neither you or your fathers have known. Who are the people in the earth that in one household, the father can be a Buddhist, the mama can be a Christian, the son can be an atheist, and the daughter can be whatever new religion she want to come up with? All in the one household, specifically to the only people on earth that don't follow the God of their culture, because we don't know who the God of our culture is. The scriptures speak of a yoke of iron and being up. Just go back and look at when we was led into captivity, when we was led to America, when we was led to other places we've been sold. We had a yoke of iron around our neck. You have to be able to look in history and align it up. One of the things that was specific to us is we was walking around with yokes of iron around our necks, being what led into captivity, to where, just as Yahushua, or who the world known as Jesus, prophesied, into all nations with a yoke and iron until we be destroyed.